Good morning, everybody. Greetings from Germany. Hopefully, you can hear and see us okay. Um, yes, great.
Okay, perfect. Hi.
Yeah, don't worry. We will introduce ourselves, though not right at the beginning. But I will just start by saying that we're Mickey and Nicola Hogue. I'm very excited to be here with you all today. Um, Thank you for the invitation to speak to you all this morning. Um, yeah. So to be honest, we got asked to give the sermon about a week ago, and mm, in the days leading up to today, I actually felt quite uninspired to give the sermon. And here come, yes, we're being interrupted. Um, uh, Felt very uninspired to give this sermon.
Sorry.
Sorry about the interruption. Yeah, so we agreed to give it a week ago, and we were at the spirituality workshop at the time in Camberg, and it was a very intense time, as you all remember, about a week ago, where True Mother was our true mother was going through the legal situation and questioning. And yeah, so I had joined Nicole and my kids up at the spirituality workshop and was feeling on a little bit of a spiritual high. So I said, okay, yes, we can give the service or the sermon. But in the week since then, life happened. So I had a stressful week at work. Nicole was at the workshop, taking care of our daughter and also trying to gain something for herself spiritually. Then she came home with a couple of other families to stay here for the weekend. And, we had our regular disagreements and arguments that,
Sorry.
yes, we too have within our relationship and our marriage, just like everybody else. And again, we had guests here, so lots of kids running around and pregnant people and lots of chaos. And we're sitting next to a huge pile of laundry that's not folded yet. So a lot going on in life, right? Like we all have. And also, of course, spiritually, the past few weeks have been quite hectic and confusing and troubling within our movement. So yesterday, as I was thinking, okay, like, what can I possibly say that would inspire many people who I don't know or maybe have met once or have seen on Zoom but don't really know and who don't really know me? What can I say that will inspire you all, especially if I personally don't really feel inspired? So I was really struggling with that, and I went up to our boiler room where it was quiet, and I sat there and thinking, what can I talk about? And I realized, um, as I was asking myself that, I realized this is how life is. You know, Life isn't always full of inspiration. So our spirituality, our emotions, our finances, our relationships, these are things that sometimes they're all going really well. Sometimes it feels like everything is in the gutter, nothing's going well. And then often it's a mix of both. So, in those times, what is it that we can fall back on? What is it that can inspire us when we're not feeling inspired or when we're feeling down? So I want to give you all 30 seconds now to think of that for yourselves. So just for 30 seconds, think of what it is that you can fall back on, what it is that you do to re-inspire yourself when you're not feeling inspired. So I'll pause now for 30 seconds. It will be awkward. Okay. Hopefully you all could think of something. So yes, I don't know, maybe you'll have the same answer that I have, maybe not, but it's good if everybody has something that they can realize this is what I can go back to when I'm not feeling inspired. So what I thought of yesterday is, and it falls in line with what Peter Newland asked us to share about today, a little bit of an introduction of ourselves and a little bit of our testimony. What I came up with that I can fall back to when I'm not feeling inspired in the moment or when I'm feeling down in the moment is my past experiences, my memories, the things that I've lived and felt and experienced and found to be true in the past. Um, yeah, because even if I'm not feeling inspired now, those things happened, those things are real, and those are things that I can look back to and rely on. So I don't know if I necessarily feel 100% inspired, but I certainly feel more inspired than I was yesterday. As I was preparing this, as we were thinking about our past, as we were coming up with a little bit of what our story is and sharing or planning to share that. And of course, putting together some nice family pictures always helps. Um, so yes, yeah, our story doesn't change even if we're in a slump, and today's struggles don't erase our past experiences. So that kind of gave me hope that no matter how complicated or difficult or stressful life seems in the moment, or how much laundry you have to fold, God is still with us. God is still helping us write our story. So we want to share a little bit of our story today, and hopefully that can give you some ideas on how to inspire yourself when you're not inspired, or can give you some strength. Um, Partially, I think already now, but certainly by the end of this service, I will be more inspired myself. So, if anything, this is just for me in this moment. But we hope you will also feel like you got to know us a little bit better and can rely on us in the future as well. So, yeah, I just want to share a little bit about my background. As you can probably hear, uh, I'm speaking English, but without an English accent. I'm actually from America originally, from New York City. And yeah, I had quite a few unique experiences growing up. I've got two parents and one sister. I'll show you a picture. Uh, I'll show you briefly a picture now. Um, okay. This is this is a picture of my family. Um, so my mom, who was the one walking in because she wanted to hear our sermon. My mom is there. My father passed away to the spirit world a year and a half ago, and then my sister lives in California. This was her graduation from college, and then that's me. And actually, that was the shirt I was about to wear, but Nicole said it's too purple. It's too colorful for this service. So. Yes, this was a few years ago. Anyway, that's my family. That's who I grew up with and spent a lot of my life with. Um, and yeah, as I mentioned, I had a lot of quite unique experiences growing up within the movement in New York City. I actually got to spend a year in Korea in the GOP program when I was 12, so that was a really amazing experience. I had many chances in my youth to see true parents at Belvedere and East Garden. I remember my parents would get us dressed basically while we were sleeping at 3 or 4 in the morning and drive us up, and we would probably be there to greet your parents and then go outside and play in the little park there with all the kids. So I didn't really treasure it. It's something I kind of took for granted that we would be able to see true parents multiple times a year. That was a really unique experience. And then in my family, I was a bit of the golden child, always doing, the right thing. And that included going to SDF in America, and I did 2 years. I was a team leader. And before my second year, I got to travel to South America with Ingenim and Love and Life and got to teach ballroom dancing with Ariana, her daughter. So that was a really cool experience, seeing, what it's like to be on tour with True Family. And yeah, I know that Nicole will share one of her favorite quotes from True Parents, so I'll share mine from STF. It's from a speech called Let Us Think Once More. Whatever you do, if your motivation is to improve the work of God and His kingdom, then your actions are good, no matter how trivial or menial they may appear. So that's one little tidbit if you don't take anything else. If your motivation is to improve God's kingdom and God's work, then whatever you're doing, that action is good. Anyway, I relied on that a lot during STF. And during this time as well, Love and Life was going on in New York City. So I got to go to Sunday service with 700 or 800 people every Sunday and, really great production, really awesome music. And it was just an amazing time. So that was like my high spiritually. And then I went off to college and I was 4 hours away from home, 2 hours away from the closest church community. So in terms of spirituality and spiritual practice, I was completely on the opposite side of the spectrum from where I was during STF. It was like really like a rubber band effect. Um, and I kept up this really good image when I would come home, for example. But I was doing a lot of, you probably know LFSO. I was doing a lot of LFSM, which is live for the sake of myself. And it's not so different now. I guess I'm trying to be better. You may see me on the screen and think, oh, this is a great guy, but trust me, I still LFSM plenty. You can ask Nicole, she will attest to that. I'm not perfect yet, still working on it. But anyway, at the end of that time in college, I had to decide, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What life am I going to lead? And fortunately, I decided to go to Korea. I spent some time in Chungpyeong, and then I ended up working at the GOP dormitory as well. And then I was again at Chungpyeong, and that's fortunately where I met Nicole. And since then, I would say it's been relatively smooth sailing in terms of what I decide I want for my life. That may sound really simple, but that time included a lot of self-reflection and questioning. And maybe it was easier for me than it is, or that fight was easier for me than it is for some other people who have to decide on their faith. Um, but yeah, when I meet especially young people who, let's say spent some time out of the church, but they're here now and they're showing up. I can really appreciate them, and I appreciate all of you as well because, I know it's not easy. I think it might even be harder for people who, let's say, lost their faith to find it again and to, let's say, come back, than it is to simply, stay in our community, in our bubble, um, the whole time, to never leave. So if we're thinking about like the prodigal son, who had the harder time, the prodigal son who left his father's house and squandered his inheritance, and came back, or the loyal son who was there the whole time and kind of working for his father? I don't know. It's an interesting thought, maybe for next time, but um, yeah. So I went to Korea. I went through a little bit of struggle and internal searching, and that's when I met Nicole. So I'll pass it off to her.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I want to show you also a few pictures from me. Maybe Mikael can
Yeah.
just set it up quickly. Yeah, so maybe since I'm from Germany, maybe some of you already met me or we met each other in person. But yeah, I will also introduce myself shortly. So my maiden name is Turner, Nicole Turner. Now I'm La Hogue. This is my family. I'm now 32 years old. I'm half Korean. That's my mom. My father is from Austria, but I lived my whole life in Germany. And yeah, so since Mickey talked a lot about his past and so on, I thought I can also share a little bit. So I also had a quite confusing teenager time, let's put it like this. But after this time has passed, I really felt at some point, and I remember I was when what was it? I was 19, turning 20, and I decided I really need to change my life now, and I want to dedicate 3 years on OLT, going to America. Back there was, I think, GPA or STF in America, and then doing STF in Europe. So I thought, oh, let's do the 3 years in different continents. But then I ended up just staying on STF actually for 3 years,
Here in
and
Europe.
here in Europe, yeah, from 2012 until 2015. And then afterwards, I dedicated one more year just, for my searching where is my mission in the movement. And I dedicated just one more year to find my place basically in the movement as mission. Um, and yeah, so just to summarize, basically what I gained the most from these 3 years on STF, like there's a lot I learned. And I also spent some time with Peter Nillen together and some other, STF folks in the probably Nordic countries. But yeah, there was so much to learn. And I think the most thing I gained from this time was really realizing that God is a living being and just constantly around me, always looking at me, always feeling what I'm feeling. And yeah, just understanding God is not just somewhere in the clouds, but actually a living being just constantly around me and surrounding me. And this one quote, because, when you do mission, there are a lot of, struggles you go through. And this one quote always kind of followed me. It was actually from True Mother, um, yeah, which I carried, and it says, "Be humble in victories and grateful in difficulties." And up until now, actually, it always follows me. So yeah, this is my family. Then in 2017, no, wait. So we first got matched.
Spoiler alert, we got blessed at some point.
Yeah, we got matched, and then in 2016, in the end, end of 2016, I got started studying, and that kind of pulled me out a little bit of mission work. I wasn't so focused anymore on that, but I felt God was always in my heart, and I always tried to keep up God and the providence in my mind. And then in 2017, here we got blessed. And then we had our legal marriage in Hawaii in 2018. And then, yeah, and then afterwards, obviously, children appeared. That was
Here.
2020. We had our son, not up here, but yes, we created a family, and our son, yeah, he's now 5, and our daughter is almost 3 now. Yeah, and actually, in this time when I was pregnant with my son in 2020, um, since 2000, like since actually I finished my mission work on STF, I always carried God and the providence in my heart, and I always felt this is the biggest joy I ever felt, while doing mission. And so one time while I was pregnant, I had this quite deep prayer, and I remember this deep prayer. I asked God, Heavenly Parent, what can I do for you? What can I do for your providence? Let me work through me. Let me do something. And then actually on the next day, which was interesting, Dr. Dieter Schmidt, he called both of us and he asked us if we want to support in the central region and becoming vice presidents, because also at this time, True Mother changed a lot of things in the movement. And so it was a really, let's say, interesting, strange timing. But yeah, I really felt there was really a question from Heavenly Parent reaching out and asking, hey, can you help support? Yeah, so yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll just show this cute picture. We were all staring at the sun, which is why we all have, or some of us has very strange faces, myself chief among them. But yeah, this is the eventual, or most of the eventual VP team. Natasha and Matthew Hewish are not here, but I think basically everybody else. This was in Korea this April, and yeah, one of the only pictures where we have with many of us together. But you can burn this image in your mind, and we'll keep talking. Actually, the way Nicole shared it, um, there was an information session for this new VP structure, and I either dialed in or watched the recording, and then we talked about it, and we're like, oh, we just had our first child a few months ago. We're busy helping out with 24 plus in America, and I have a full-time job. So like we can't help out with this. And then Dita Schmidt actually texted Nicole and said, "Hi, do you have time for a talk?" And we were saying to ourselves like, "Oh, he wants to ask us about this VP thing." And we talked about it and we're like, "Oh yeah, we're definitely going to say no because we don't have time. We're busy, too much going on." And then we had the call, and um, yeah, and then at the end of the call, we both felt like, "Oh, this is." God is really calling us to help out in this time. So even though we had already agreed before the call that we're not going to say yes, we eventually said yes.
Yeah, because it's such a big responsibility, and I didn't think God would, ask some to do something like this. And I mean, having not being so much into mission anymore. I guess it was just the heart. We really wanted to serve, but we did, like for me at least, I thought, oh man, this is too a big responsibility, and I don't know if I can fulfill that. So I guess that's why I said to him, no. But even though I prayed, to God and asked, what can I do? So yeah, be careful what you're praying for or asking.
Um, yeah, but anyway, so that was around November, December 2020. Time has flown by. We're still in that role as VPs for Central Europe, and though we have a lot going on in life, we've tried over the years quite hard to always do our best for the mission. Um, and yeah, I think maybe the way that I get inspired is just by being asked to do things. Maybe that's letting out a secret. But I guess if you ask me to do something for God, I will probably say yes. I had a commander on STF who would Japanese guy, really great guy. He would say, "Do you love God?" And then he would ask you to do the thing that he was going to ask you to do. But it's hard to say, "Yes, I love God," and then be like, "No, I can't do what you're asking me to do." Anyway, it's a little bit similar to how we ended up with our current responsibility, which I just wanted to introduce a little bit. Um, so, as you all know, Bogdan and Yoshiko Pama were the vice presidents for Europe and the Middle East. And then they received a new mission in April, and it left a little bit of a vacuum because they were doing so many things for the youth here in Europe and the Middle East. So, some of those of us remaining on the VP team were meeting and discussing, what can we do? We had already been asked already a year ago by international headquarters to recreate or set up a youth department. So ourselves and then Sarah, Ahmed, and George, and Eugene and Montlang Coleter together as a trinity of three couples, three families, agreed to set up a new youth department. So we always caveat, we are not the youth department. We are the youth department organizing committee, because our plan is over the next 6 to 9 months, develop a youth department that can be staffed and funded and run, hopefully, by others who maybe have more time or are better suited. But that's our current additional role. Um, so you'll see something coming out soon about it. I on my to-do list is writing a memo to introduce it. Maybe after this sermon, I'll be more inspired to get down and do that. Um, but yeah, we really look forward to your feedback on what we can do for the youth here in Europe and the Middle East, and we look forward to your help as well. So that's a little bit of our background and who we are. And Nicole wanted to share a little bit about her thoughts and reflections about the current situation that's going on.
Yeah.
She's at the spirituality workshop and she was very inspired to write all this. And I was not at the spirituality workshop and I was not so inspired. So maybe one answer for how you can become inspired is to go to the
Yes.
spirituality workshop. Maybe that's an answer and one way to go about it. But I'll turn it back over to Nicole.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, there was when Mickey asked if we want to give the sermon, there was one thing I felt I want to share and I need to talk about because um, yeah, so obviously we can't ignore the fact right now that Shumada is still in a detention center. And it really, I think for all of us, it's really shaking. Our hearts are shaken and the world is shaking. And yeah, but I really feel it's important to mention this one point because, um, being youth leaders, we here and there, we sometimes hear here and there, opinions of people and so on, and young people are getting sometimes confused what's being said from Korea. And if it's also for you the fact, then I hope we can all so my point is, I hope we don't misunderstand the Korean leaders in Korea, because sometimes when they express things, it sounds like they're accusing, or not accusing, but they say, uh, because we members failed, that's why True Mother is now in a detention center. That's why she is where she is, and because we failed in our responsibility. And but when I was reflecting about this, when young people mentioned, yeah, it feels like this, that they are blaming all of us. Um, I don't think that's true, because what I could observe during the visuals, when they would speak, or I don't know if you attended some of them the last couple of days and weeks, they these top leaders, they blame themselves. And during these last, visual prayers, they were actually really asking for forgiveness to us members, all these leaders at the top. And for example, the current president we have for FFWPU, Mr. Du, and also another lecturer who always taught the Chambo Moran, they even bowed in front of the whole crowd, like did a full bow in front of everyone, and really asking for forgiveness that they couldn't help the situation better to protect mother. And and I think because of that kind of attitude they show, that really gives me the motivation to repent as well, and to really see what can I do better. And I think I really feel they just show the example, the Korean leaders, they just want to show the example, what kind of attitude we can all have. And that's really, that they're really apologetic and really asking for forgiveness. I really feel that first generations, they just take it all in and they just accept it. But I think maybe some young people struggle maybe with that kind of, attitude if people talk like this. But yes, I don't think they want to make us feel bad by ourselves, or that we blame ourselves. Rather, they want to show what we can do more for True Mother, which in the end really helps me personally, to repent what I am lacking. And on the other hand, then when I was continuously like thinking about this, and then I was, yeah, really repentful. I was reminded of an experience another sister shared at the spirituality workshop in Germany when I was attending this year in January as well. Um, I want to share this dream of her with you because it's very profound. She basically just saw True Mother on ice, and people were stabbing around her, the ice, to crack it. And she became really angry at these people who were stabbing the ice. The girl who had the dream, she got really angry at them and upset and worried about True Mother. But then she realized she also had a knife in her hand. She realized, oh, I'm doing the same thing. And then she was thinking about it and she realized, oh, it's because of the anger she feels sometimes, or the broken relationships she's not trying to resolve, or maybe, yeah, you get my point. And when this girl at the spirituality workshop shared her dream, and I was really going really deep and trying to reflect, wow, I probably also have a knife in my hand, and partially destroying this ice on the foundation where mother is standing, which is very not solid, if I'm not trying to try to be better, or see from true parents' point of view, or heavenly parents' point of view, and act in a better way. And even just sometimes arguing with my husband, or like these small things, basically, I how to say, destroys this ice, what she was talking about. So yes, there's a lot to repent. I need to. And I really feel this whole situation right now with True Mother really gives us all the opportunity, to really cleanse our heart again, and to just become better, and to unite in heart. And I'm sure you probably also felt that, maybe, that people are coming together, really being so determined and doing so much devotion. And because of all these things, I also had, like, I had a different realization. I mean, for sure, probably all of you feel the same, that it's a spiritual battle. That's, you can't explain it in a different way. It is spiritual. And especially this year, True Mother proclaimed during the Chonwongong opening that she is the embodiment of Heavenly Mother, and she finally opened the doors for Heavenly Mother to be on earth. And I really felt, wow, this is an attack on Heavenly Mother. They're really trying to lock her up again, you know, behind bars, and just shutting her away again. But seeing True Mother, that she is so unwavering, and hearing from True Family during the visual prayers that they shared that she is unchanging, you know, while she is in a detention center, really unwavering and unchanging. And that she was even, you know, witnessing to the Korean media while she was investigated, which is amazing. You know, Mother still embraces them and really thinking of God and the providence first, and this kind of attitude in these difficulties she has, and just going on without fear. I think this is what will bring victory in the end. And yes, I think probably many of us, we feel this is a much bigger, there's a much bigger plan behind what is happening right now, and it already changed people so much, and moves people, and I really believe it does shake the world in some ways. So yeah, that's my reflection, what I really felt. And yeah, so yeah, I hope you can just take a few things out of it. And yeah, thank you for listening. And maybe Mickey wants to say a few words.
Peter asked us, he was asking us to give this sermon, to keep it to one red line or red thread or one common thread. I don't know that we did that. I don't think we did, but hopefully, you know, we talked about a couple different things. Hopefully there's something that inspired you. And if not, and you go home and you realize today, wow, I usually go to service to be inspired, and I came home and I'm really uninspired. Then you can sit down and you can think about your past and look at some family pictures and think about your experiences, and maybe you'll come up with what inspires you for this week, if it's not something that we said. So yeah, thank you again for having us. We really enjoyed seeing some familiar faces, some new faces as well. And look out for our memo about the youth department, and we really look forward to your feedback, and we hopefully we can meet you all in person one day again.
Yeah, and let's think of True Mother, and yeah, really pray for her and Heavenly Parent. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.